Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into, well, an event that honestly felt less like just another show and more like a real seismic shift in pro wrestling. You know those nights where everything just clicks or maybe explodes?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking WWE Friday Night Smackdown number 1363, September 5th, 2025, live from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. And yeah, explodes might be the right word. It left everyone talking.
Yeah, buzzing is right. So our mission today, it's not just a recap, right? We want to really unpack the big moments, pull out the key insights, the storytelling genius, and the emotional stuff that redefined feuds, reset characters, and basically set the whole stage for what's next. We're digging for those nuggets.
Exactly. And you have to remember the context. We just came off Clash in Paris. Eyes were starting to turn towards WrestlePalooza. But this night in Chicago, it felt different. Something really specific was in the air.
And that feeling, it was fueled by two massive things, wasn't it? First, you had John Cena and all the talk about this being his last appearance on SmackDown. A legend maybe saying goodbye. And then, you couldn't ignore it, the CM Punk return rumors in Chicago, his hometown. So you had this dual anticipation. What makes that so potent beyond just, big names?
Well, it's that mix, isn't it? Expectation versus, well, what actually happens. You've got one potential goodbye, a huge one, and then this other icon, maybe coming back, someone with a much more complicated history. It just creates this instant tension. Fans are ready for a farewell, but they're also desperate for this homecoming. It's like perfect pre-show emotional setup for chaos.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The show kicks off. John Cena, 17-time champ, steps into that Allstate Arena. What's the vibe? Before he even says a word.
Oh, it was thick. You could really feel it. That Chicago crowd, 16,578 people roaring, singing his theme song loud. Just him standing there, giving the last appearance talk. It felt heavy, like history. Even if you weren't always his biggest fan, you knew this was a moment.
And his speech wasn't just like a greatest hits reel. He got specific about Chicago. His first appearance, slapping Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 22 against Triple H, those U.S. Open challenges. And crucially, his big loss to CM Punk. Right there. Why hit those specific notes, especially the Punk loss in Chicago?
That's the smart play, the strategic nostalgia, acknowledging the loss, especially that loss to their guy, Punk. It showed respect. It showed he understood that crowd, their history with him. He wasn't just talking at them. He was sharing history with them.
Right. The good and the bad.
Exactly. And that's why you got those thank you, Cena chants, which seemed maybe a bit surprising. But he took it well, called it honesty. It showed that shared history, even a rocky one, built a real bond. It wasn't just a speech. It felt like a genuine moment between him and the city.
Okay, so he's having this moment, soaking it in, and then a curveball. The new U.S. champ, Sami Zayn, comes out. And the reaction's kind of mixed. Some boos in there.
Yeah, that was interesting. Shows how, crowd feelings can shift fast. Here's the new champ. Maybe a bit more heelish lately, stepping into this legend's spotlight. But his reason became clear pretty quick.
Right. He thanks Cena. Genuinely, it seemed.
Yeah.
Especially for giving his debut in a U.S. title match, no less.
No, that's called that.
But then he drops the bombshell. Wants to keep the U.S. Open Challenge tradition going. And if this is Cena's last SmackDown, he offers him a title shot.
Yeah.
Right now. What does that do to the whole scene?
Oh, it just flips the whole thing on its head. Brilliant move by Zayn, really. Instead of tears and goodbyes, Cena gets offered a chance to go out fighting, maybe even as champion again, in the exact kind of match he made famous.
Wow.
It honors Cena, makes Zayn look like a fighting champ willing to take on anyone, and completely throws out the expected farewell script. It tells you straight up, tonight's not going according to plan.
And Cena. He accepts. After a moment, he accepts. So boom, we've got an impromptu U.S. title match. This wasn't just a quick handshake deal, was it?
No way. This thing went almost 22 minutes, 21:50, I think, and it was intense. Back and forth, big moves, lots of resilience.
Like what? What stood out?
Well, Zayn kicked out of $2 lays, two, plus a GTS, a spear. I mean, Cena threw everything at him. And Cena, he hit a pop-up powerbomb, a super AA off the ropes, angle slam, ankle lock. It was like a main event pay-per-view match just dropped into the middle of the show.
Sounds incredible. But just when you think that's the peak, things go completely off the rails. Brock Lesnar just appears.
Out of nowhere, just storms the ring, no music, no warning, just pure beast.
He wasn't there to watch.
Not even close. It was brutal. Takes out the ref first, then Zayn, and then he just unleashes on Cena. Relentless. It wasn't just a quick attack to cause a DQ. He hit him with 2 F5s, left him completely laid out. It was a statement, a violent one.
And the statement was
crystal clear. Lesnar gets right in Cena's face, basically says, "I'm waiting for you at WrestlePalooza. This is the last chapter." So Cena's big farewell. Nope. It's suddenly the start or restart of this huge, brutal feud.
So the match is a no contest, obviously. But what does that whole sequence, Lesnar crashing the party, tell us about farewells in wrestling? And how does it instantly change Cena's whole story arc right there?
It tells us that farewell is often just a suggestion in wrestling, right? Especially when there's history or a big event like WrestlePalooza looming. Lesnar just ripped up the goodbye script, turned this emotional moment into something raw, personal, and dangerous. It hooks you right back into their feud, proves that old rivalries can always spark back to life. Takes something familiar and makes it feel fresh and urgent again.
Okay, so while that massive drama is playing out, the show keeps moving. Other things are happening backstage, other stories building. We saw GM Nick Aldis kind of frantic, right? And then Carmelo Hayes interrupts him, wanting a shot at the U.S. title.
Yeah, it shows how even with the main event chaos, everyone's still jockeying for position. The machine keeps grinding. Hayes wants a shot, understandably.
But then The Miz jumps in.
Always the opportunist. Miz steps in, kind of distracts Aldis, and somehow negotiates a tag team match for Hayes instead. Aldis just wants things settled, so he agrees. It's like a little snapshot of the constant maneuvering happening behind the scenes. Alliances, deals being made on the fly.
And in the ring, we got some pretty intense action too.
Yeah.
Aleister Black cut this dark promo, basically trashing Damian Priest for being a rules follower.
Yeah, really setting his own tone. And then he backed it up. Attacked Priest during his entrance, threw him into the crowd.
Didn't even wait for the bell.
Nope. Then gets the win, using the ref as a shield, basically, before hitting the Black Mass. It really cements Black as this ruthless, dangerous guy who'll do anything. Not just talk, but action. Makes him a serious heel threat.
Then we had the women's U.S. title. Giulia defending against Michin. And Kiana James was involved again.
Heavily involved. Interference during the match helped Giulia win. Then James attacked Michin after the match, too.
So what's the impact of seeing these alliances, this kind of consistent interference, especially in the women's division?
It really builds the importance of having backup, factions, alliances. James isn't just Giulia's friend, she's an enforcer. It makes Giulia look stronger, maybe unfairly, and sets up future revenge stories for Michin. It clearly defines the heels and faces and shows that winning isn't always just about solo skill. Strategy, numbers, they matter.
And looking ahead, they dropped quite a few hints for next week, didn't they? Orton versus McIntyre. Lesnar promising to speak more on Cena. Tiffany Stratton defending her women's title against Jade Cargill, with Nia Jax lurking.
Yeah, always planting seeds, building anticipation, keep people tuning in.
But there was one more arrival that felt significant. Becky Lynch shows up in Chicago, surprises Nick Aldis backstage, tells him she's not there to cause trouble. That felt loaded, right?
Oh, absolutely loaded. Classic dramatic irony. You just knew hearing that, given who she is and where she was, that trouble was exactly what was coming. Just maybe not how Aldis imagined. It's perfect foreshadowing for the main event segment.
Okay, let's get to it. The main event segment, the one that truly blew the roof off the place. Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Champ, is in the VIP box, looking incredibly smug, kissing the title.
Soaking in the booze, Rollins loves it. Then he gets a mic, declares Punk's legend is going to die tonight. Pretty bold.
Then he brings out his wife, Becky Lynch, calls her the best wrestler in the world. And Becky, she just pours fuel on the fire, dismisses AJ Lee chants, insults Chicago teams, insults Punk. Well, he goes so hard, so villainous, right before Punk's supposed return.
Maximum heat. That's the goal. They wanted to make that Chicago crowd absolutely furious, wind them up so tight that when Punk did appear, the reaction would be nuclear. It's risky. You could lose the crowd, but they were banking on Punk's connection there. Make themselves the ultimate villains to make him the ultimate hero.
And boy, did it work. The second that static hit, cult of personality. The place just detonated.
Exploded. You could barely hear the music over the roar. Pure, unadulterated joy and noise for the hometown guy.
Punk comes out, obviously fired up. But he does something interesting. He kind of dismisses Becky initially, focuses on Rollins, calls him a coward, reliant on Heyman, reliant on Becky.
Right, trying to get under Rollins' skin directly.
But the AJ Lee chants get louder. And Punk, instead of shutting them down, he actually encourages them, while Becky's getting visibly annoyed. What was that about?
That was masterful. Punk knows his audience. He knows the history, the fan speculation about AJ. By leaning into the chance, he's playing with fire, acknowledging this whole other layer of history, and making Becky look even more flustered. It makes you wonder, are these just chants, or is he hinting at something, building that suspense?
He even says, everything's allowed in Chicago. Maybe Bailey or Rhea will help him out, just stirring the pot. But Becky slaps him multiple times, threatens his sister, says she beat Bailey.
Yeah, she gets right in his face. Really aggressive.
But then Punk says something critical. He draws a line. I don't hit women. I never will. Why was that specific line so important right then?
Because it created a problem that needed a solution. He established his boundary. He won't hit her back, so who will? It put that question right into the audience's mind. It created this narrative space, this vacuum that just begged to be filled. Who can step up to Becky?
And then, the line. That changed everything. Luckily, Punk says, I know someone who will. And immediately, AJ Lee's music hits. The place goes insane all over again.
Pandemonium. Just absolute pandemonium, louder than before, if that was possible. Years of waiting, hoping, speculating, paid off in 1 second.
And she doesn't just walk out. She storms the ring, goes right after Becky, punches, a huge slap, chases Becky right out of there.
It was electric, pure catharsis for the crowd, and a total game changer. It wasn't just a return, it was an attack. An alliance formed instantly, fueled by years of history, both on screen and off. It leverages all that fan knowledge for this massive immediate impact.
And the final image. Punk getting in the ring, the embrace, the kiss with his wife AJ Lee as the show goes off the air. It just completely redraws everything, doesn't it? For Punk and Rollins, sure, but now Becky and AJ too. What does this whole sequence tell us about wrestling storytelling?
It tells you about the power of the unexpected, the power of secrets kept, and the incredible value of long-term emotional investment. This wasn't just about one night. It tapped into years, maybe decades, of combined fan history with these specific people. It instantly created 2 red-hot feuds involving 4 huge stars crossing over the men's and women's main event scenes. It shows how real-life relationships, when used right, can elevate wrestling drama to a whole different level. Sometimes the best stories are the ones you didn't see coming, rooted in something real.
Wow, what an incredible night, SmackDown 1363. Seriously unforgettable. We started thinking about Cena's farewell, and instead we get this brutal new chapter with Lesnar. Then the Punk homecoming, which was huge on its own, explodes with the return of AJ Lee. Just wow, narrative twists everywhere.
Yeah, these weren't just isolated moments, were they? They were all connected, weaving this complex tapestry that just completely changed the WWE landscape overnight. Rivalries redefined, character arcs reset, championship pictures thrown into chaos. It set up stuff we didn't even know we wanted to see.
Absolutely. A night that people will definitely be analyzing for a long time. So it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? In this world of storylines and expected beats, what does a farewell really mean? What happens when a final chapter gets violently rewritten?
Right.
And when these unexpected allies, spouses even, jump out of the shadows like that? What does it say about the bonds, the grudges that really drive this whole thing? Are any chapters ever truly final in wrestling?
That's the perfect question to chew on. This has been The Deep Dive.
Hey, if you enjoy this breakdown, if you like digging into the details with us, do us a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.
Yeah, and we really do want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What was the moment from SmackDown 1363 that completely shocked you? Let us know.